Okay, awesome. So good to see you guys again. Sorry it's been a little bit. I've been traveling a lot and doing a lot of stuff lately, trying to get back in the saddle from, man, moving from Hawaii, moving to Mexico, moving to Flagstaff, Arizona. But I've got my studio together and I'm back in the saddle and I'm ready to rock. Got some really awesome stuff coming your way. You know, we got a lot of requests just for Q&A, questions and answers, and I kind of felt bad because I haven't been able to answer a lot of the questions that have come through. So I thought would be awesome is just to take some time out, just to kind of hang out in the living room and just talk about stuff. So the first thing I'd really like to know from you guys is what you're in need of. Like what questions do you have about singing? What questions do you have about performing? And how I can best answer those questions. Because I think, you know, in addition to all the technical stuff and all the other stuff we do, you know, it's just nice to shoot the shop around the table here and just talk about stuff. So we did have some residual questions from the last time, so I'm going to start off with a couple of them. We have Vituya Seymour. Let me scroll down here and figure out what this says here. Ken, I love you, man. I've been playing lead guitar for almost 17 years professionally, but a year ago I decided to do more solo acoustic gigs, putting me in front and center as lead vocalist. Besides playing to my strengths in certain cover songs, I find myself relying heavily on vocal effects to get me through sets. Can you give me any advice? Thank you for your videos. The pipes on you are wow. Well, thank you, Vituya. I guess that's how you say your name, hopefully. I didn't destroy that. First of all, there really aren't any tips, like in that sense. Like, we have to work at stuff. If you're a guitar player for 17 years, you know I don't just give you a tip on how to play a lick and then away you go. So you have to first start there. I think that's the most important thing. Let's also remember too, guys, for me, I started out as a guitar player, not as a singer. I had to do this on my own. This wasn't something that just landed in my lap. I had to just go through the painful process of working at this and understanding what information was legit, what wasn't, and how I could find my way through this. So, Vituya, not avoiding your question, but I want to start there with the answer. So, by the way, if you rely heavily on vocal effects, it's hard to beat the TC Helicon Live Touch. It's a great program, or a box, but it's only a great program if you know how to sing first and it does all your harmonies for you. So if I could recommend something like that, that would be one of them. But you have to learn how to sing well first. So if you've gone through my tutorials or if you've gone through my course, I cover all of this in the course. And it's what I love about musicians, instrumentalists, I should say, and I don't want to say as opposed to singers, but because not everyone is created equal in this sense, but is that you guys are willing to put in the time, and you know how much time it takes to get good at something. So if you're willing to put in that kind of time and do this, your muscle memory, it's just like any muscle in your body, you're going to be able to score on this one big time if you can put in the time to do this. That's how I did it. I wasn't a singer. I was a guitar player learning to sing. So that would be my recommendation to you. So, and I have a lot of tutorials on this stuff. So I recommend that you check it out or get my course. That's great. The Film Fallout is who's calling is, if a male's lowest note is an E flat 2, how far could he potentially extend his usable range to with multiple years of correct training? Well, that doesn't really make sense. By the way, I want to correct this real quick. And don't take offense to this. E flat 2 is the go-to of when we look at vocal fox at the lower bari level. E flat 2 is the lowest range registered to be able to sing audibly, or what's called usable range. But here, hold on a second. Let me show you something. This is an E flat 2. That's an E flat 2 for a bari, right? But watch this. Right now, some people could say that's flageolet. That's fake vocal fold stuff. That's an A1. So in other words, and I could go lower than that if I train my voice to go lower. So when we talk in terms like that, let's not talk like there needs to be a standard by which everyone can grade where people go in different registrations. But that's an A1. That's a lot lower than E flat 2. I can go lower than that, and I can go all the way down to F1. Does that mean that I have a usable range of over 5 octaves? Yes and no, because I can sing a C6. In fact, I do it on Celebration and some other songs I've done in the past. Does that mean it gives me 5 octaves? Well, if I've trained myself and I can actually really sing that low and then go all the way up to that registration, most of the time what we do is we train our voice to sing low for the low stuff, we train our voice to sing high for the high stuff, we train our voice in the mid voice to sing mid voice stuff. So I'm just pointing out to you that as you probably go like to Wikipedia or something like this and you say, what's the lowest register for a male baritone? And they say E flat 2, it's just not true. Baries go way lower than that. I mean, I just did it. And then they'll tell you that their mean average of their registration, they're lucky if they can get to an F sharp 2 or I'm sorry, F sharp 4 I meant to say, my bad, F sharp 4 or G4, and that's just not true either. I've trained my voice to go all the way to a C6. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of understanding how the voice works. So hopefully the Film Fallout guy, hopefully this will help you. I got a second one from Phil Fallout. How much distortion is Adam Lambert using when he does high range belting? Man, that's another big question. Thank you for the question, by the way. First of all, we have to determine, are you talking about when he's in his head voice or his chest register and he's belting in those different registrations? That's the first thing. Second thing is guys, can we not think about this in terms of distortion? Like all of a sudden I get to turn on this knob where I distort my voice. Can we think about this in terms of harmonic distortion, like as in the harmonics of our voice and our vocal folds as we're distressing them, and we are, and that is true. As we turn up the volume on this distressing of the chord, that we understand that we can enter different levels of this or shades of this, where we just don't go straight to distortion. It's tone. We like tone. We want a good sounding voice, and we want it to have some signature that's our own thing. And then little by little we lean more into that sound and we can distort it more and more. But we have to practice through this stuff. We don't just all of a sudden, and I'm not even going to mention her name, but where it's the zen of singing, where all of a sudden you just turn on distortion. Oh, here's my distortion knob today. It doesn't work like that. We work up different levels and shades and percentages of this distortion and how we do stuff. So if we could start there, we'll have a healthy voice. If we don't, we're going to hurt ourselves. So I hope that helps you. And I'll try. Eventually, I'm going to do a whole thing on distortion just to really help people understand this better. But Biscuit, let's see, Biscuit, what did you say? Kind of going fast here. Sorry. How do you? Let's see. Do this again. Sorry. How do I find out if I have a good singing voice without showing other people? Biscuit. So we live in a world where everyone wants everyone to be beautiful, and we live in a world where we want everyone to be perfect and edited perfection in lots of ways. The biggest question to that is, do you have a voice or something to say that can minister or resonate with other people? And I wouldn't think of it in terms of, gee, my voice is beautiful. Do I sound like so-and-so? I would think of it as, do I have something to say? How can I present what it is that I have something to say? And again, I could go down the list of all kinds of people that have quote, quote, lousy voices that have done this. We've talked about it before a million times. We've talked about, and I'm an old school guy, bear with me for a minute, but we talked about, in fact, I don't even know if I want to go down this rabbit trail. Bob Dylan and all these different people, and I fear that if I do this, that you're going to hate me because I'm dissing other people. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there, even Bruce Springsteen and other people. Personally, I wouldn't that wouldn't be my go-to to try to sing better or sing great. But at the same time, too, what you may want to do is post some stuff anonymously, even in our forums, and get feedback, so that you can see how you stack up to at least people that you like as a singer. That would be really important. And then you're gonna, at some point, no matter what, you're gonna have to wear your heart out on your sleeve, and you're gonna have to go out and sing and perform for other people. The key is that to not allow other people who's just gonna want to shoot you down and say you suck, let that get to you. And I can't tell you. In fact, I think this is really funny. I'm bringing this up right now. Why not? What the heck? I forget his name, but I think his name. He was the head of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. Now think about this for a second. I can't think of his name. Bob, remind me later and I'll post his name. Anyway, so Elvis Presley. Think about this for a second. Elvis Presley had performed one night at the Grand Ole Opry, and the manager of the Grand Ole Opry said, "Son, you have no future in singing. Go back to driving trucks." I kid you not. Look it up. This is straight up. Bob, remind me. I'll put it in the notes section. My associate that helps me with this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, we're talking about Elvis. Like Elvis Presley, maybe one of the biggest kabams in like modern musical history. And the guy that managed the Grand Ole Opry tells him, "Go back to driving a truck." Well, it doesn't mean we all get to be Elvis, and I'm not going to fill your head with all kinds of crazy, stuff. But what I am going to say is that, man, the Beatles were rejected multiple times on their albums from labels, and I can go on and on and on with this. So do it because you love it. Do it because you have something to say. Do it because you want to share your story, and see how that fares out with other people. Next one, Javier Garza. How do I know if I find my own voice? I don't have an instructor, so I don't know how to find it. Well, there's two problems with that question, Javier. The first one is that your vocal coach, if he or she has to tell you where your voice is, "I lost my voice. I'm going to find it. Hold on. I'll be right back. There goes my voice. Oh, there it is. I found my voice. Got it. Ah! There's my voice." I'm not trying to belittle you at all, but what the point of the question is that if you're looking to someone else to find your voice, you have to find your own voice, what you love, what it is that you do that you like, and what you like about other singers that you've reinterpreted in your own voice. No one's going to find it for you. You have to find it yourself. If someone finds it for you, it can't be your voice. It's their voice that they found for you. Think about that, the math of that. Okay, so as we go through the process of this, Javier, I really want you to, I don't know if you can do this or not, but, and again, this is a Q&A, and anything goes, guys. Throw me whatever you want to know. But when I, quote, found my own voice, it was because there was a lot of singers that I liked, that I copied or emulated or mimicked or whatever. And then in the end, I didn't want to sound like them, but I used their influence, and it became part of the gene of, the genome of my voice, of like what it is that I do, like, right? And this is true for any discipline. It could be true for soccer. It could be true for anything. I don't care what it is. It's not just singing. So Javier, don't look to other people to find your voice. And if I could recommend one thing, and you may or may not be able to do this, but when you write your own music and you sing your own music, there's no one to copy. You're on your own, dude. Even if it's simple, even if it's something that you don't even love, you can do this and go, wow, okay, so I'm writing my own music. There's no one I can emulate. And now I'm stuck with my own voice. What do I love about my voice and the things that I've worked on in order to be able to recreate a sound that is pleasing for me and for everybody else? Let's move on to the next question. Here we go. Catherine Sogstad. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Hey, Ken, wonder if you can give some encouraging words around understanding music for non-musicians. That's another big subject. I've always wanted to improve my voice and play music. I've started to learn, but very on and off. I'm now 25, on again with learning, going to a music teacher as well for the first time, but I very easily get discouraged. My voice is okay, and I can play chords on guitar, but I feel like I need a breakthrough in understanding what is music, quote unquote, or brackets, about how it works in general. I'm good at overcomplicating things, so I guess this goes for learning too. Hopefully you can give me some thoughts. This is like a complex to me, and I get so emotional about it sometimes. Thanks in advance. Okay, let's break this down. And thank you, sweetheart, for your heartfelt, question. You don't need to know how to read music to be able to sing or even play guitar. It took me a lot of years to get through that, and I didn't love it, and I don't know that nomenclature ever. I guess when I learned, reading and writing music, it helped me be able to look at things differently on a sheet of paper, but from my heart, it never helped me with music. In fact, here's another silly story for you guys. I went to a very, very famous college, and I don't want to get in trouble for telling you who it is. It was on the East Coast, and my very, very first day there, very first day, was there were all these famous composers. We had Brahms and we had Beethoven and we had, you know, I mean, Chopin and all these pictures of all these famous guys all over the room. And the room is actually there was a lot of Asians in the room, so I'm not sure, you know, I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying it was kind of weird because I was like a white guy in it. And so we're going around this room, and the professor walks out and he says, you know, do you see all these, you know, Brahms and you know, Liszt and like I said, Chopin and all these guys? He goes, you know, as we're going through this course, you'll be lucky if you get to 1% of their greatness. Well, think about that. I'm in school, paying a lot of money, and I'm thinking to myself, what did he just say? You know, you'll be lucky if you get to 1% of their greatness. And I thought to myself, well, that's not very encouraging. And then he goes on to say that if we do everything we can to, you know, emulate these masters, all these greats that are all over the room, right? You know, and by the way, there are a lot. So like, and they go through them systematically. And I did hang in there for 6 months. It just, you know, anyway. So then he says, you know, then if you can arrive to 1% or 2% of the greatness, I thought, well, where's personality in that? Where's individuality in that? Where's, like, what if I want to, like, do my own thing and I don't want to do what these guys do, right? Now, maybe this is just Ken Tamplin talking, but hear me out for a second. So I went through this and I tried really hard, and I did learn theory and I did learn a bunch of stuff. But in the end, what was weird was I laughed because as far as voice was concerned, none of these guys could do improvisation. They couldn't improv anything. Think about this for a second. They could not go into a room with a bunch of guys and have any kind of improvisation like I did on guitar and singing, right? Everything was paint by the book. That's why, too, when you hear an opera singer and they go, let's say they're doing a blues lick. They have this very stiff sort of, you know, horrible sort of, you know, and it said, they don't have any of that swagger in the sound. Well, because they were taught paint by numbers, this whole thing. So getting back to you, you don't need to know nomenclature or to study music to be good at an instrument or singing. And when we sing from our heart. We don't sing from notes on a paper that was clefted by some guy that wrote out something. This is where you get loud, piezzo, you know, piano, mezzo, like back and forth on trying to describe you how to sing something. Just do it because you love it. Try it. What the heck? What do you have to lose? That's what we're here for. Sorry, long-winded answer to your question. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine, so I'm going to move on. But I know this will help. And I have a singing course, guys, that will help you. How to sing better than anyone else. You want to check it out? I go through all of this stuff in the course to be able to help you understand how to make this work. Vocality. Okay, so we got some shout-outs. George in Scotland. We've got Bilal Afi. Elisa Waye, there's a lot of, The Reaper, 934, Martina, Bright Sebiai, Vocality, Hawaii, maybe? All right, Buttercusp HI, I think it's Hawaii also, Alicia Sepulveda Hai, I guess I would say that, Voice Petra from Germany, good to see you, Reaper again, 934, hey Ken, Sebastian Recon, yeah, that guy. Alex Stars, Astrid Anya, good morning, Ken and team. Mud Muzici from Saudi Arabia, good to have you. Richard Powell, yeah, a lot of good shout outs here, guys. I'm going to just go through them quickly. Matthias, Aaron, Detroit RSC 74 from upstate New York. Richard from Powell. Okay, I'm going to blast through these. I want to get the questions going here because I want to get to as many as I can. If I didn't get your shout out, bear with me. I'll do it next time, I promise. Rosie Mohai. There have been issues with runs, and I was wondering if you have any advice. Well, what are your issues with the runs? So, Rosie, if you could repost the question. Runs, we have to get our pitch together first, and our diaphragm together first, and our vowel placement first, a good placement of muscle memory in the throat. We have to do that first, and then slowly. Hopefully, you've gone to YouTube or my course, where I have a whole thing called Licks and Tricks in my course. But hopefully, you've gone to YouTube and you've been able to at least walk you through step by step how to get some of the basic runs that most people do, and then how you can extrapolate or go beyond those licks themselves in order to get great at it. But pitch is king in this, otherwise it sounds bloody awful if you don't do it. Bright, Simplus. Can you sing in mixed voice, just for example? Yeah, in fact, were you not there when I just did a whole series on mixed voice? So, Bright, if you could do me a favor instead of doing this now, please, ah, 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 ah. That's all mixed voice. But I have a whole 1 hour webinar on this. Just go to refer to that, and I promise it will help you. Or I have this also in my course. Celesti and anten muscle. Got it. Muscle tension in the throat. That's a good question. Did you have any trauma, or is there anything that happened in the throat that caused this to begin with, or did you do this while you were screaming, or was there something that happened? Can you do us a favor, and can you post this in our forum so I can answer this more responsibly, because it's a big question depending on how you got there. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm being moved up. I got my faithful Matt who's trying to help me out here. Richard Powell says, I'm finding a problem with a break between my head voice and falsetto. How can I reduce the break and work on my mixed voice? Okay, so it's actually 3 different questions. The first question is how do I get from my chest register to my falsetto / reinforced falsetto, which we call head voice, first, and then how can I combine those two in a way where it's a grid, or a way that I can have a percentage of chest head mix. So I have a whole section on sliders in my course and on YouTube if you need free stuff, where I walk you through how you can go in and out of chest and head. Now, in fairness, again, I did a whole thing on head voice. You got to grow your chest voice first to build the foundation. You got to grow your head voice second to build a foundation for head voice. Then you come back, you reduce the sound, and then you go and you do these exercises that get you through chest and head over and over so that you don't hear the break. And then little by little, you can lean into the sound with more volume to match the tonal qualities of your chest voice to your head voice. And then this is how you get the sound. And it happens over time, and it takes a little while, and you want to back off the sound. If you hear the yodel, you're doing it wrong. You have to back off the sound even more, even if it's so infinitesimally small. Until you can lean to the sound. So you can lean to the sound more to create this tonal quality we're talking about to match your chest voice. Kathy Peterson, I'd like to see more country songs done. I sing in a modern country band. All right, Kathy, give me some suggestions. By the way, that's a good point, Kathy. Thank you. So the reason I want to do this today is I want to get suggestions from things that you guys feel like you're struggling with, so I can answer them rather than me just stuffing stuff down your throat. Here's how you do chest. Here's how you do head. Here's how you do distortion. Just hit me with some stuff, and I'm down. So put it here. We'll record it. I'll come back, and I can answer this stuff. May not be the next webinar or be the next one, but I'll actually get to do this either via YouTube videos or here on live stream. So Drenzo, can you state some practice to build up vibrato? Yeah, Drenzo, have you seen my video on vibrato? Again, I cover all this in my singing course. Vibrato is a kind of a funny thing because a lot of people disagree on how you get there. I can only share my own personal experience. And within vibrato, people say you either have it or you don't, and you should just be able to have vibrato. Well, I don't know. I've never experienced that. I've experienced that I had to work on it first. It sounded a little contrived, and I had to kind of relax into a state of oscillation. Now, at first, I had to contrive it. I had to kind of work at it and make it work in my throat. In fact, I have a really good student. His name's Felipe, and he started out with 0 vibrato, and he's got his vibrato sounds like Andrea Bocelli now. He's got a killer vibrato. But we worked at it for almost 2 years. You're like, 2 years? No, I want it in 6 months or less. Well, I mean, it can happen that quickly, but there are a lot of different exercises. Look up my video on YouTube on vibrato, and then again, I have a really massively extended version of this in my singing course where I break down exactly how to get there. And I will give you one example. There's something called ghosting, and you can start with this. You go, Now, as silly as it might sound, that helps relax and release and give you the ability to go, okay, well, that may not be my vibrato, but I can relax to a state where I get oscillation. I understand it. And then when I have a strongly supported whole tone with a relaxation response in the chest, neck, and throat, and I can relax into a state of oscillation, resonance takes over, and then vibrato is what we want for the end result. Now, some people will say, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of singers out there, John Anderson and Sting and all these guys that have no vibrato. That's true. That's true. You can sing without vibrato. I'm not saying you can't. But in the end, if you want a sexy sound and you want to relax into a state of something cool and have a lot of resonance in the sound, vibrato is king. So, Rosie, moe, I have a decent voice and I'd love to work on runs and nasal air fellow. Nasal air fellow? Air follow? I don't know. Any tips? So, Rosie, first of all, we don't really want to sing with a lot of nasality, and I would really need to hear what your runs are. Runs are kind of funny. Let's say I go, let's just talk about this. Two questions have come up on this right now, so let's talk about it. So let's say a run is, yeah, yeah, right? How do I break that down? Yeah, do it with me. Yeah, yeah. You keep adding on to this thing, right? But you have to have tone first, and you have to have good muscle memory placement in the throat for the ah vowel and all the different vowels. So, yeah, you start there real stiff. Yeah, 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 right? And you kind of build and build and build on this, right? So, and that, by the way, that's only one vowel. So if you're singing a word, you're going to have to, or different words, excuse me, a multiple of like connected words or phrases, you're going to have to figure out how those vowels themselves place in the throat as you're going through the run. Pitch is king, support is king, and tone, having good tone when you do this, it's not just about getting a big run, it's about how that happens in relation to pitch, control, tone, and ping, and all the other stuff we talked about. So again, I cover this, licks and tricks, it's in my course. I go through all of this to help you guys identify. By the way, it's kind of funny. There's not like a million different licks out there. Just like guitar. I have a really good friend of mine. His name's Scott Van Zen. And he's an awesome guitar player. I mean, awesome. Like top 10 percentile of like my favorite guitar players. Scott, if you're out there listening, you'll appreciate that. But anyway, he laughs because he says that he only has 5 good licks. Now think about this. He's kidding, sort of. He's got 5 good licks, and then what he does is he, goes beyond those licks. It adds to them. Well, it's also true for the voice. We get, 5 or 10 good, runs that we know how to do, and that we learn, and that we get embedded. People say, like with Aretha, for example, well, every time she does something different. Yes and no. She has a lot of swagger for sure for, what she did, and same with Mariah, and same with, go on and down the list of all these different singers, Jessie J, whomever, right? But no, they have like a certain amount of licks that they have, and then they add to those licks, and you learn like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 really good licks, and then you invert them, you add to them, you do different things with them. I show you all this in the course. I walk you through this step by step of all the the cool vocal licks and how you can add to them. And so when we think of things in terms of runs, like it's this endless, In fact, here's something funny for you. I was in the grocery store the other day, and there's an old Amy Grant song called "Baby Baby." Baby, baby, the stars are getting down. Right? And some girl sings this song. She covered it. She does a great job, by the way. And she's just got all these great vocal runs. And when you listen to it, you think there are these endless runs. But they're really not. She's doing the same run over and over again. She's just changing it up a little bit every time she does it. And this is true when I did the Chris Stapleton breakdown of Tennessee Whiskey. Listen to it. I walk you through step by step exactly what he did. It sounds, a lot like a change is going to come. And whatever. So, okay, hopefully that helped you. Next one, Holly. How can you control your head voice? When you say control your head voice, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but what you do is you work on it first so that your head voice doesn't control you, where you get a nice bright ping in the sound, and I have, like I said, I've got a whole big video on this, so Holly, refer to my video on head voice or get my course, but ah. We want a nice bright tone to bring into our head voice sound so we can have match the tonal qualities of our chest voice, and then we want to be able to fuse that together with our chest voice for mixed voice and to get through the passaggio in order to be able to, quote, control it, okay? Muscle tension and how to recover from it. Please, suffering from it right now, it sucks. I just want to be able, okay, I think we just got this question already, Celeste. If you, again, can post, Bob, if you can do me a favor and give these guys access to our singing forums. We've got well over 10,000, I think 15,000 people in there now asking these kinds of questions where you can post stuff and get good quality answers that you're asking. But we need to hear you first in order to be able to answer the questions. So I need to know what's going on. Bob needs to know what's going on, or one of our moderators to hear exactly what the problem is. Paul Thompson, do you feel as a male at the age of 40 you can get your voice back up to par to be an opera singer? Well, Paul, let's look at this another way. I don't know if you've had damage done to your voice, so I can't speak to that. But if not, and by the way, it's still doable, you absolutely, the voice is a group of muscles, and I want you to think about this like training anything. If you're going to run a marathon, yeah, you're not going to do it tomorrow, but probably by this time next year, if you have correct training and you're able to put in the time to do this, you can absolutely grow your voice to that. In fact, people in their 50s could do that, and maybe even 60s, depending on how high and how hard they want to be able to sing. So, Rosie Mo again, here we go. Hi there, I was wondering if you have any tips about runs and nasal airflow. Okay, Rosie, I just answered that question, so I'm not going to repeat it because I want you to refer to stuff I already have out on this. Buttercups, I purchased your program 2 years ago, but I'm afraid of practicing because I'm afraid I do it wrong. Well, record yourself and post it in my forums. Or take a lesson with me. I know I'm expensive and I'm not soliciting lessons right now. I'm actually trying to get people to go more towards, getting in the forums and looking at other people that have already done this, that have gone ahead of you. So Buttercups, please try it, get a feel for at least where you are, and post something in my singing forum so that we can help you. That's what we're here for. It's what we're doing. And it's free. I pay for that out of my pocket. This is not an entitlement. I do this because I want to help you guys get better. Todd Cannon, do you have any advice about beginner level home recording equipment? No. I've got like a lot of really expensive gear. I don't use a lot of home gear. I do know that there's some home gear out there. Sorry, I unplugged myself. For me, I'm not shirking my responsibility in answering your question, but the more you understand about gear and good tube gear and that, the better things sound. If you're dealing in plugins and you're dealing with smaller pieces of gear that are transistor or are not tube related, it's kind of tough to get a great sound. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying that you get what you pay for a lot. Now, can you get by with certain pieces of gear? Yeah, I mean, there's a couple microphones out there. Tell you what, Todd, do me a favor. I have email us, but I have a whole 5-part series, I think, on YouTube of recording gear, and I know it's probably antiquated now because it was about 4 or 5 years ago that I did it, but at least go through that gear that I listed in my YouTube videos. I don't even do this in my course because I'm not soliciting or recommending anything unless I know it's great. I know that Avalons are great. I know that the Shep is great. I know that Neve 1173s are great. I know that Neve 33609s are great. I know that Genelec speakers are great, but every one of these suckers are really expensive. So I know that my Neumann M149 is killer, but it's $5,000. So, but I do cover this in a whole series on YouTube. Look at a Ken Tamplin how to record or how to record your vocals or something. It's on YouTube. So anyway, Tassos, I need help figuring out. Let me go here. How to play guitar and singing both. Tassos, I've got a video on YouTube. I got how to sing and play guitar, and then I also have other tutorials on how to just play guitar. It's free. Go get it. It's on YouTube right now. Go check it out. Chop Chop, hi Ken. Do you manage nerves and keeping your voice from tightening up? Yeah, I mean, everybody does that. I don't know that I have any kind of stage fright anymore. It's more like entertainment to me. The more you do this, the more you go busking or go to karaoke or do other things, the more you do this, the more you realize, you know, there's a funny old disco song my son used to play in way back in elementary school. Ain't nobody here is better than me, better than me, better than me. Ain't nobody here is better than me, better than me, better than me. Right? And I think to myself, well, I don't know, if I put in the time in my homework, there's nobody in here that's better than me that I know of, you know. In fact, let me share a funny story with you guys. I think I've shared it before. It's worth sharing again. I was in Tokyo, and I was managing a 2-time world champion surfer girl named Daisy Shane. You can look her up. Daisy Shane Goodwin. In fact, they have a new movie out with their son. It's really cute. In fact, she even stole my son's name, True, and named her daughter True. Anyway, her name's Daisy. So we're in Tokyo, and I'm managing this girl, and we had just got there, and with the time zone changes, I couldn't sleep. So I'm at this, it's in a place called Roppongi. It's sort of like the Beverly Hills of, you know, or Westwood Village of Tokyo. And I couldn't sleep, so I'm sitting at this bar, and it's about, and I don't go to bars, but I just, you know, I wanted a glass of wine. I was just trying to hang out and chill my brain out. So anyways, I'm sitting at this bar, food bar, and it was like pushing 9 o'clock at night. I couldn't sleep a wink. I think there were 16 to 18 hours ahead of LA or whatever that was, and I didn't sleep on the plane. So I'm drinking this glass of Chardonnay, and these Australians walk in. And they were obnoxious and Australians are obnoxious. These guys they had a little too much to drink, and apparently there was some giant international karaoke competition that they flew in from Australia just to do this competition. So they're off this other table over here, and I'm alone. I'm sitting at the window watching people walk by. You can't make this stuff up, by the way, because the visual is all there. And so this obnoxious girl says, "Hey, you know, what are you doing?" And I'm like trying to like wind my brain down. I'm just sitting my little glass of wine. I want to go to sleep. She goes, "Well, are you going to the international blah 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 karaoke yakety yak, you know, tonight?" Didn't even know about it. You know, she goes, "Well, do you want to go?" I said, "No, not really." You know, and so she says, "Well, you know, we're all going, and I'm going to win." And I go, "You are you? All right, cool." Like that's it. She goes, "Do you sing?" I said, "Well, you know, I've held a note in my day, you know, or two." He goes, "Well, you need to come with us. Come on, right, mate, you got to come with us. Come on, you're going to come." You know, so then what the heck? I can't sleep anyway. I got nothing better to do. So I go to this competition. Sure enough, it's like a warehouse, and it was massive. There was like 2,000 people there. And by the time we got there, it was like 10 o'clock at night. They had already gone on and for a while. And anyway, so her number was, holy cow, I want to say in the 400s. Of like singing. Could you imagine watching 400 karaoke singers? It's like, ah. Anyway, so she goes, "I bought you a ticket, mate." And I go, "A ticket for what?" She goes, "I signed you up. You're going to sing tonight." And I'm like, "I didn't agree to that." She goes, "Oh, it's too late, mate. I even picked the song for you." And I said, "What song?" She goes, "It's Foreigner. I Want to Know What Love Is." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sing for 2,000 drunk people from Tokyo to Australia to who God knows, Korea, who knows where, in front of these people. And the prize, you get a load of this, the prize was $2,000 US. I forget what it was in yen at the time. It was a lot. So the winner would get $2,000. And by the way, at this point, they were serving up $1 kamikazes. For you guys that don't know what that is, it's a drink in Japanese. It's, you know, it's a shot. Anyway, so she goes and she does her thing, and then I'm called up, and then I sing Foreigner, I Want to Know What Love Is, and I win. Somehow I won, and I didn't really want the money. I could have used it at the time. I was kind of broke, but so I bought the entire 2,000 people a $1 kamikaze drink. My wife got so pissed. She goes, "We could have used that money. You should have brought it home." Anyway, so about nerves. So this goes back to the nerve comment. You know, you just like get up and do it a lot, and you do karaoke, and you do busking, and you sing for your friends and your family and your church and your school, and you know whatever it is, and then you won't get caught up in the nerve factor. So anyway, silly story. Thought I would share it. I think I've shared it once before. It's worth sharing again. Bhavana Astanai. Sorry if I can't pronounce your name. I'm a 23-year-old girl just starting to learn how to scream. Could you give me some tips on how to do it properly? Okay, so guys, let's talk about this. Scream is an extreme sport. Let me say it again. Scream and growl is an extreme sport. Let's pretend that we're in hang gliding. Okay? Get a visual of this. Would you say to me, hey, I'm ready to jump off of this mountain on my hang glider. Can you give me a couple tips so I don't kill myself? The answer would be, hell no. No, don't jump off the mountain with a couple of tips. Get an understanding of good, strong diaphragmatic support, a relaxation response, open throat technique, resonance, understanding how vowel modifications work, how you lean into a sound gently, little by little, how you come back and clean up that sound to where when you finally get to a point where you can get into scream, you're not going to kill yourself. Otherwise, go ahead, jump off the mountain. I can't give you a couple tips. No one can. And I'm not trying to be mean about it. I really mean this sincerely because I don't want you to kill yourself vocally. And understand how this whole process works. It's like building a muscle. Okay, so one day I'm here, next day I'm here, next day I'm here, next day I'm here, next day I'm here. You know what I mean? We build this stuff. We don't just like a couple of tips to killing yourself jumping off a mountain with a hang glider. Anyway, Lane, Ken, any advice on how to keep a good tone while singing high notes? Well, that's a good question. I cover this in my course also. You just want to have good tone in your tessitura, or the range that is most comfortable in your voice first, and then you develop this up into high notes. So first get your tessitura together, understand where it is, and then you start to grow the range of your voice first, and then you start to grow the tonal qualities that you're looking for. I cover all that in my course as well. Akash, sir, how to develop our unique voice. Okay, so, hey guys, when you get a chance, look at my YouTube video called, I sing a Zeppelin song, what is it, Kashmir, for example. That's one example. And notice that as I sing Kashmir, how to find your own voice, or I forget what the name of the video is, you'll notice that I sing in the style of Robert Plant. I have nuances of Lou Gramm and Paul Rogers and David Coverdale and Ronnie James Dio and all these different guys that I like, but it's all within the context of me singing another person's song like me with my influences. So I want you to start there first because we need influences, to draw from, and then we need to know how to take those influences and recreate that sound or represent that sound in our own unique voice. So please go check out that video. It will really help you at least get an understanding of that. Carlos, how long does it take to be able to sing better, not professional like Whitney Houston? Carlos, I don't know your starting point. So, and everyone's starting point is different. There's no reason, if you can sing Happy Birthday, there's no reason within about a year of good training that you can't sing something pretty decent. And not Whitney Houston, that's going to take a really long time, but something pretty decent and then build on it from there. So I'm not going to tell you a month, a week, 3 months, 6 months. I'm going to say about a year if you're really working at it, religiously. Close to an hour a day, 30 minutes to an hour a day, 4, 5, 6 days a week would be optimal to start with, and even ramp it up from there if your voice can handle it. Land of Dracula. Ken, can you talk a bit about Johnny Cash's voice? What do you want to know? He was actually the original country rapper, if you ask me. Boy Named Sue, all the early songs. But to me, he was just, like I said, I wouldn't consider him a singer. I'd consider him a songwriter / incredible storyteller that was able to, again, present his art in a way, much like Bob Dylan, where he could present his art in a way that caught everyone's attention. So I wouldn't talk in terms of like true singers. I would talk, and there's one other point to this too. In country music, I'm going to be delicate the way I say this. In country music, were a lot of people that told stories that didn't necessarily have great singing voices, but because of the way they told the story, were enraptured in being brought into their story in a way that their voice sounds beautiful to us, or moving or emotional. So I really want you to, if you're into that kind of style of music, I want you to really think more about the story, more about presenting the art, like I said, Bruce Springsteen to other people, and have this be why you do what you do, not because you're trying to sound like, some big country artist that has an amazing voice. Hopefully that helps. Jeep Nomad. Is that like the Jeep, the Nomad Jeep? Do you have any thoughts on 40? Oh, yes, I do. By the way, sorry, the question is, do you have any thought on the 432 cycles compared to 440? I might even do a whole thing on this because I've gotten asked this question a lot. 440 cycles, or what's called tuned to A440 as a resonance, is not necessarily consistent. This is going to sound so weird, guys, so just bear with me. I'm not one of these weird metaphysical guys, but there's some truth to this because resonance, harmonic resonance does matter. 440 guitar playing is tuned to a standard that was set up that had nothing to do with the harmonic resonance of the earth, okay? Think I'm crazy, go ahead. Call me crazy, here's my number. Go ahead, right? 432 hertz is actually more a true north of how the earth resonates. And so not just for playing guitar, but also for singing in a key that resonates at 432 hertz. Does that mean that we can't sing in 440? Absolutely not. In fact, we're going to sing all kinds of different notes that 440 is an A, is true A in today's technical terms. 432 is another issue. However, I will sympathize with people that have understood that the earth resonates at certain frequencies. And don't think I'm weird in this, man. The earth spins in a rotation at a certain speed. And, you know, so I'm not saying, hoo-hoo, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. I'm not going there with that. I'm just saying there's a lot of truth to that. And let me give you an example if you think I'm nuts, okay? If you're in a propeller plane, twin prop plane, okay? And one of the, you're trying to line up your propellers to have them resonate together. And then all of a sudden, they resonate at the same frequency because that's the frequency that they're comfortable in and whatever RPM that they're spinning at. This is true for everything throughout our universe, particularly our Earth. So at 432, it's an optimal place. It's a long stretch to try to grab people and drag them for 440 tuning into 432, but does it have validity? The answer is absolutely yes, okay? So I'm not going to get myself in any more trouble than that because you guys are going to think I'm crazy if you knew how much of this I've thought about the process of this in lots of different contexts other than just singing. Cheapskate coins. So not only you are a cheapskate, you're a cheapskate at coins. All right. So I was curious your thoughts on Floor Jansen and the singer for Nightwish, excuse me. I think that woman's voice is amazing and a bit addictive. Me too. In fact, I was going to work with him here fairly soon with another client of mine that was a voice contestant from out of Sweden. Again, we get in trouble when we're talking about distortion and some of the stuff that's going on. So let me get back to you then on Cheapskate because we're going to work with her, actually the whole band, but on distortion. And I'm going to do a whole series on distortion. I think that's actually why you're asking it because she does do some clean stuff too. But let me do that when I do my whole series on distortion because I think that will be more productive. But stay tuned with me on this because I am going to do it. So, Mud Music, can you explain voice types with examples? That's a pretty big question. Can you explain voice types? Do you mean vocal fox and ranges? Do you mean tonal quality? You know, okay, so Mud Music, repost the question because that doesn't make sense to me because I don't know how to answer it without knowing what you're really asking. Cash Fortner, do you have any advice for how to find your own vocal range? Okay, so we just discussed this. It's called Vocal Fox. I have a video out called What the Fock, F-A-C-H, which means your voice type and vocal range. So refer to that first and then come back and ask the question again because we can also change your vocal fock and grow it into other vocal focks and they can cross-pollinate or they can cross over into other ranges if you know how to do it right. Because it's not just the range itself, but it's the type of voice that you have. Because if you're like Caruso or you have a big voice, you know, a character Barry or something like that, it's a big voice. It's very different than like a lyric tenor, which is a smaller, lighter voice. So we have to determine that first, and then also understand how we can build a range and know what your actual vocal range is. Anna, is it possible to become a great singer without any lessons? Well, I'd say yeah. I mean, I don't know how many lessons that even Ann Wilson had growing up early on or whomever, but let's think of this another way. If you understand how to use your voice correctly, it increases your palette and it increases your ability to get to sing other ranges and styles and textures and tones and save and preserve your voice. Now let me give you an example of this right now. So I have a girl who is just left today, in fact. Her name's Katie. And you may have seen a new video that we posted of the new A Star is Born thing called Shallow. Now Katie, I don't think has had any vocal training much at all, but she's also losing her voice every 3 songs. And since she's been doing the course for about a year now, she never loses her voice, ever. I mean, even getting sick, she doesn't lose her voice. And we've been training and singing for 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, for a week now straight. And we covered a bunch of killer tracks from Hailstorm to AC/DC to Janis Joplin to, and lighter stuff, like I said, Shallow, Sarah McLachlan, all kinds of different styles. So if you understand how the voice works and how to manipulate that, you're going to be able to sing longer, better on pitch, more power, and this and that. So could you do it, without training? Sure. Are you going to get as far as Katie because she's training? No way, man. No way. Absolutely no way. Anyway, so, and I had to learn that the hard way myself, too. So when singing from the diaphragm, should I squeeze my stomach when I sing? When you say squeeze, it's pulling in the stomach. It's kind of the opposite of the yoga breath. I've talked about this before. Stand up. Let's do it again here. You take in your breath. Here's my breath. And then when I sing, hey, 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 I bring in the strength of the abdomen. Now, do I squeeze it? I wouldn't say I squeeze it. I just bring in the strength of the sound. And I relax it between the phrases so it doesn't get bound up or locked up, so I can't have the freedom to relax and get strength to sing the next phrase. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Cheapskate Coins is at it again. Ken, you sound like you have a cold. Actually, I have worse than a cold. So I was in Mexico. So as you guys know, I lost 3 houses in Hawaii and some land that we were preparing to build on to lava. And the volcano came over and took us over. So we moved to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico for 3 months. And I caught whooping cough, of all things, while we were there. Me and my grandson both got it. So I've been coughing my brains out for about the last 5 weeks now. So what you're hearing is me just been coughing and coughing and coughing. They say it's called the 100-day cough or something. So it's only been 5, 6 weeks. I think I have a little bit longer to go, but hopefully I'll get over that part of it soon. Do I still sing, by the way? Yeah, in fact, last weekend, I sang 7 songs at the YouTube studios in Los Angeles. So I still warm up my voice, and I still practice, and I still sing. Is it as good as it could be if I didn't have to cough so much? No, but at least I'm professional enough to know how to work my way through it. Anyway, Tina, my son is 14. Singing is his passion. He's going through puberty, and his voice is changing. Any advice? He's afraid this will change his voice forever. Yeah, Tina, that's a good question. Michael Jackson is the perfect example of this. Had he trained going through puberty, I don't think he would have lost all the range that he had. Maybe some, but not all. And so if you know how to train it, if you could do me a favor, go to my website or go to YouTube and look up Ryan Hyrie, H-A-E-R-I, Ryan Hyrie. He's one of my students, and I trained him through puberty, and he didn't lose a lick. But the reason is that we understand how to connect, from pubescence on into adulthood, how we can connect that vocal quality and not lose that. Now, the voice does drop. It drops a whole octave when we go into past pubescence. But what we do is we actually train it to where the strength in the voice stays through pubescence on into adulthood, so to speak, so we don't lose that range. I don't cover this exactly in my course, but if he does the exercises from the course, it's the same thing. I actually walk you through how to train through that and not lose that kind of registration. So let's see here. Saquane, is that your name? How can we keep a whole tone while singing high notes? You mean how do you hold a whole tone? Well, again, you get straight. You get strength in the abdomen, a relaxation response, and I cover, again, all this in my course and on YouTube videos, and then you have open throat technique so it doesn't start to close down, so you don't pinch and squeeze it. As you're going up, you need to know how to control the throat to stay open first. Train that in a way that everything comes from strength from the core, from your abdomen, and not from your chest, neck, and throat, and that's how you hold a whole tone. I cover that in the course. Andrew Liu, how to sing like Bruno Mars. Well, I have 2 videos on that. So Andrew, can you defer first to those videos, and then please come back, and if there's a question about what I don't cover and what I have in those videos, when I was your man, and I got a couple of videos out on that. Check my YouTube channel on it first, and then come back and re-ask the question. Logan, hey Ken, I love what you're doing. What is the best daily vocal practice for a beginner? Well, Logan, I also have that not only in my course, but also on YouTube, a small portion of it on YouTube, where singing lessons for beginners. Look that up. It's in there, and then that will help you, because you have to build it from the ground up. Again, the diaphragm, the breath, the open throat technique, vowel placement, all that, intonation. Michael, talk about individualism when you're writing your own songs. We all have influences. I certainly have very strong ones, but how do you turn your influences into your own signature? You know, Michael, that's a great question. The best way that I would say that is that after you've been doing something for a while, and I mean a while, like not as in a month, but like a year or two or more, you develop certain things about things that you like about other artists, but then you represent them in your own way, in that you get a little from this guy. It's kind of funny, because I don't care if it's Paul Gilbert, I don't care if it's Jimmy Page, I don't care if it is Carlos Santana, you know, all these guys say the same stuff. You know, you have this lick that you learn from this guy, and another lick you learn from another guy, and when you fuse them together, it's neither one of those guys, it's you. And after you do this for a while, and I'm going to give you an example of this. Vibrato, guitar vibrato, right? When I was younger, Jimmy Page was my idol. And so I love it, that real fast vibrato, which was true for AC/DC, you know, same thing, you know, yeah, I'll think of his name in a minute. Anyway, so AC/DC or other guitar players that had fast vibrato, B.B. King, whoever it is, right? And so you get to a point where you go, huh, I thought I liked that vibrato, and I still like it for some things, but I really like Steve Lukather's vibrato. You know, it's big, wide, long vibrato. So over time, you get a little bit of this from that guy and a little bit of this from this guy, whatever, and then you bring that into your staple of what it is that you're looking to represent as your art. And this is true for singing, this is true for playing, this is true for soccer, sports, it's true for like any discipline. So get what you love about someone and connect it together, right? And then start representing this in ways that makes it your own. And having your own songwriting really helps a lot with this, because then it's like the new frontier. There's nothing out there. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I just want to get some shout outs. Thank you for joining me, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, of the Proofs in the Singing. Again, if you guys want to take your studies further, you can get my course, How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else 2.0. It will seriously rock your world. I've got some ending shout outs going on here. Let's see here. Oh, happy birthday to Athenian Dragonel. Happy birthday. Lily Bloom Chanta from Austria. Thank you, Lily, for tuning in. Dipping Kinging, singing all the time. Good for you. Awesome. Me too. Kathy Pertershini from Rhode Island. Hi, Kathy. Andrew Leo Bruno Mars Techniques. Okay, we're going to get to you, dude. Check out my videos on that. Thomas Jackson. Huang. So we have a lot of questions still coming in. Guys, save them, and I'll try to get it on the next webinar. I'll go ahead and answer those questions first in the order that they came in. Until next time, God bless you guys. Peace out.